let's continue with inheritance. Inheritance is actually another concept in object-oriented where you can inherit the methods of the variable from other class to be used by another subclass. So inheritance is actually when a class inherits all the methods and variables of another class, which is called as superclass, right? And this subclass extend the superclass by adding behavior indicted to the behavior and data provided by the superclass. All right, that means imagine that you have one class here. Let's say this one is class A, and then you have another one, class B. So if it is general, and then you want this to be specific, so in this specific class will also be sharing the same properties of the class. So rather than having two different classes and you are repeating the same thing, and it is better for you just take out the general characteristic or properties and put it in under superclass, so that other subclasses can just simply inherit from that superclass. So by doing that, so we can make the program even more robust and easier for us to change. So it will reduce so that you don't have to repeat the same thing in different classes. I just want to give you an example here. Let's say you have class A. So in order for this class to use whatever in class A, you need to use the word extend. So extend A. So imagine that in this class A you have let's say you have integer A, and then you want to return that integer A. Let's say process A, and then when you process A, and then you will return A. So imagine that this is so let's say you initialize that A as 3, right? Then you have this class B extends class A, and you have integer B, right, is equal to 5, for instance, and integer process B, and then under this process B, then it will return that B. Alright, so in this case, this B inherits the variables as well as the method from this superclass A. Yeah. Let's have a look at class this. All right. Public static void name string. Alright, so let's say we create an object as B. Yeah, B. We declare the object of B is equal to new B. Yeah. So this object is from this class B. And I just want to show you that this object, even though that this is actually from is an object of B, but actually we can use this object to access whatever in A, because this B inherits all the variables or methods from A, provided that they are not public for this superclass. If it is a private, then this class B cannot access that. All right. So I think the easiest way for you to see it by, let's try to display 3 and 5. Okay. System dot output. So it mentioned, let's say you try to display process B. Yeah, you call that process B. Okay, let's compile this. All right, got one error. Let's have a look at what is that. This one is okay. Okay, this is another error. One, don't forget to you have to make sure that it is properly closed. Yeah, close, right. System, right. Okay, let's run. So it will display number 5 because you are calling this. It will return B is equal to 5. So let's try whether we can call that object A, because this is the one that we inherit from the superclass. Right, we run. Okay, it will display 3, so meaning to say that this object B, OBG from this object is actually can also access this A. So, but what happens if we, let's say, put here under private. Alright, so I cannot find the symbol because this is actually cannot be accessed, right? With inheritance, and I'm going to continue with on how to use this super, right? But before that, you have to know that each class can have most one superclass, So this, for instance, if this is the subclass, can only have one superclass, and one superclass can have so many subclasses, right? Can be more than one subclass, right? So the subclass constructor, the constructor for the subclass, can call superclass constructor by using super, or if you do not call that using super, it will automatically create that the constructor, the no argument constructor automatically. So for instance, that we have constructor here, let's say A. So since you want to we initialize it using constructor, yeah. So we call that constructor, and then we initialize the value of x, of A is equal to 3 just now, and under this one you have another B. We call that constructor, and then initialize that B is equal to 5. Yeah. So, all right. Okay. So if we create this object and we call this B, this construct will automatically be called in the first place. Yeah. So if, let's say, I want to run this program, let me clear this one first, and let me debug this. Right, sorry, this is supposed to be here. Okay, when you run this, it will call 3. Yeah, so it will automatically return A, and it will automatically assign A is equal to 3. So meaning to say that if you run this program, you can see that by calling this object, yeah, right, it will by creating this object, and then it will call this this construct, and together with this, that's the reason why when you call this process A, right, and this A will automatically be initializes 3. So meaning to say that this construct will be called together with this construct the moment you create that object. Alright, new with on how to use this keyword super in Java. Alright, so the next one is how are we going to use this super to initialize the construct for the super class. Yeah. So this is a subclass, so this is a superclass. So for instance, in this subclass, we want to initiate. We have this construct B, and we want to initiate the value of A here and also the value of B here. Right? So we want to get the value from the moment we initialize and create the object. So we should be getting 2 values, for instance integer x, integer y. Alright, so what we want is actually to initialize this x into A and initialize this with the value of y to this B. So what you can do is that you can use super x. So this will call this construct for the class A, and maybe you can have this integer w, and A is equal to w. Yeah. So and then you will call that. So this is actually you are explicitly call the constructor. Yeah, and then after that you probably need to initialize the b. Yeah, it's supposed to be b is equal to y. All right, and the process B and process A. All right, and then let's have a look at clear this one first, and then let's have a look at the value of process A. So we will try to call this. So the moment we create an object B, so as obj, and we initialize two values because we want to use this construct. Yeah. Let's say 6, 7. So this 6 will be this x, and I will call the superclass, and it will initialize that x will come to w, and we assign this w to a. So by right, this 6 is equal to this a is equal to 6, and when we call this and try to display this, the output should be 6. Yeah, this one. Let's compile the program. Successful, and we try to run it. Right, so you'll get the 6. So this is another way to use the word super, right? No, the keyword this. For instance, if you, let's say you have here is a, and then you have an a here as well. So yeah, that a will be equal to y, right? So let's say this process B will return the additional of this a with this a. Yeah, so what you can do if you use this this a, yeah, then you can use the word super dot a, so it will automatically refer this a as this a and this a to the superclass a, right? So when you call this process B, so it should be 6 plus 7, which is 13. So clear this one first, then compile and run. Right, it's 13 because you are adding this a with the super a. I remove this one on how to use this word super to invoke parent class and also to invoke parent class constructor. So let's have a look at the first one first, on how to you can invoke parent class. So for instance, that you have imagined you have a different name of method in the superclass and also in your subclass. So process A, I think this is the easiest way to show. Okay, so imagine that this is void process A to return this output class A. Yeah, just to indicate that they will call this method. Then you have another similar one. Just copy this one, Ctrl C, then Ctrl V, but this is supposed to be class B. Yeah, if you look at this, it's a similar method. So then you're gonna have another method. Let's say you want to call this. So if you want to call this method, so what you can do is you can use the word super dot process A. Yeah, so if you use this, it will automatically referring to this, and to refer to the current one, you can either use process A directly. Imagine so now you have this method call, and under this method call you want to call the other two methods. The method A, process A, which is from the superclass, and is from the subclass. Or just to not to make you confused, you can use the word this, THIS, this. Yeah. So by right, if we call this call method, yeah, so we create this object B. So when you call that call, it should be displaying this class A first, then class B. Yeah, so I clearkan dulu that one. So when I run this, so it will, then you will get this class A and class B, right? This superclass. When you call this method, it will call the process A. Because you are referring to the superclass, so it will display this class A and followed by class B. So if you don't want to use the word this, and then when you compile that, then you will get the same thing. Yeah. So the other one is to invoke the parent class constructor. So under this constructor, so you can call the constructor itself. Say let's change this one, yeah, to become a constructor. I will change that. So we have a constructor, this that will display this, and we have the other constructor. I have to remove this one first. So imagine that we have this constructor that to display this. So I remove this. It's easier for you to see. Yeah. All right. So under this constructor B, what you can do if you want to declare that constructor, so what you can do is to call that super dot this will call invoke the parent class a constructor that will call out this, and to create the constructor for that class A, and at the same time you want to print this under the constructor B. Alright, so when you I remove this one, I think this is, yeah, for that one, this is the extra one. Alright, so we create this object B, OBG, yeah, OBG. So when you create this object. Let me clear this one first. So when you create that object, it should be printing out this class A and class B. Yeah. So because you're creating those two objects, class A and class B, the moment you create this obj object from the class B, and it will create this, it will invoke this parent class constructor as well. That's the reason why it will print out this A and B. Right. What will happen if you remove this? And clear down first, then alright, so it will still call the construct of A, because the moment you create this object, yeah, and it will automatically create the construct for the parent class, or from the superclass, like this on A. So that's the reason why it will also print this A and followed by B. Alright. Here's another maybe an extra knowledge about how you can create the object. So for instance, this one should declare the you assign an object of subclass B with the class of subclass B, which is in this class you extend to the superclass A, or as a parent class A. So what do you think will happen if, let's say, you want to declare this object of superclass, yeah, to a variable of subclass? When you compile that, then you are going to have this you're going to get this error: A cannot be converted to B. But actually B can be converted into A. So what you can do, actually you can do the other way around. So this means you can assign an object of subclass, alright, to a variable of superclass type. Yeah. So in this case, it should be allowed. Okay, and then when you run the program, then you still get this. Alright, so that is another important things that you need to know on how we can use or declare the object. Next, let's have a look at the method. Method overriding. So what is this? Method overriding? So you can have you can declare a method with the same return type and signature as an inherited method. For instance, you probably you could have the same name, exactly the same, with between the parent class and also the subclass. Just want to give you an example of this: integer versus A. Then maybe you want to return number 5. Yeah. you want to call that process A, and then you want to return number 5, right? And then you're probably going to have the same thing under your subclass. To differentiate it, we probably just want to return 7. Okay, if you look at here, you have the similar method. Yeah. So what will happen if, let's say, I change this one first. You create an object and then you call that obj dot obj dot process A. Yeah, process A. Let's say just want to display whether another it will display number 5 or number 7. Yeah. System dot out dot print. So I clear this one first and then try to compile. Okay, so in this case, whenever we call this process A, since we have the similar method name, so which method do you think that it will call, either the subclass or the superclass? So in this case, it will refer to this. Yeah. Then I run that, and then it will it will create class A, class B, and then it will display number 7. So in this case, this method under the subclass will override the method if it is a similar name. The override the method in the super class, right?